How much do you think a guy should spend on an engagement ring?
10 times their salary.
I'd say at least like 100K.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Today is my daughter's second wedding anniversary, and I cannot wait for her 18th wedding anniversary. Why? That's insane, right? Well, because that's when I will have the credit card finally paid off that I used to put on her beautiful wedding.
If you're planning a wedding, why the hell is everything so expensive? Why is like the most basic set of flowers costing me $4,000?
The cost of weddings in 2024 is absolutely out of control. It's insane. And it doesn't just stop there. It's anything that is remotely close or related to getting married or having or throwing a wedding. The prices are through the roof. I was like, oh my gosh, why are things so expensive for this? And the more research I did, the crazier it was and the more sense it made. So this is pretty crazy. If you guys have ever had a wedding, planned a wedding, what did it cost to have a wedding or like to buy an engagement ring? I am very curious. Please let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode.
If you're planning a wedding, why the hell is everything so expensive? It's all so expensive. Like, I had a meeting with a florist today, right? A florist. Flowers. All I wanted was to talk about flowers, right? Why is like the most basic set of flowers costing me $4,000? Guys, at this point, why do brides need a bouquet? Why do brides need a bouquet? Tell me why the one that we like drafted up or whatever, why is it $500? The thing that I'm holding, my flowers, $500. Bro, listen, that's fucking wild. That's just wild to me. And then not to mention, why is it $10 a person for you to cut a cake? That's like weird. You're weird. $10 a person is crazy as hell. To cut a cake? No, because wedding culture is so out of hand.
Look, love is in the air. I get it. You know, I'm getting to that age where my friends and family that are around 26, 27, late 20s are starting to get married, and it's being talked about quite a bit. I'm getting very close to getting married very soon with my girlfriend, and, you know, the talk is starting to come up. You know, we're starting to inquire and look into the cost of things here, and I will tell you, I am flabbergasted. I am shocked at the cost of anything that is remotely close to marriage and weddings. The engagement ring costs, the markups on everything is through the roof. 400, 500% markups here. It's crazy. We have a lot to unpack in today's video here, and I'm really counting on you guys to let me know your opinions and what you've experienced either in America, where you're from, UK, wherever, down in the comments below, like the prices of what it cost you guys back in the day. Maybe it was, you know, a decade ago, 2 decades ago, what it cost for you then, or if you're looking into it now, what did it cost? How did you do it? Are you pro big weddings and spending a lot of money? Are you not? Who paid for it? I mean, there's a ton of questions we are going to have to answer, but what she said is wild. $4,000 for flowers. There is no way flowers actually cost that much. And then she brought up cake cutting for $10. When I first watched that video, I was like, there's no way. $10 to cut a cake? I'm going to cut it myself. I'm going to cut it before I bring it in. But that's a thing. And it's not just at weddings. If you, from what I found out, if you go to a venue and you don't buy the cake through them, they are going to charge you, it could be anywhere from $4 to like $15 per slice, per person, to cut the cake. So you're going to spend $800 on a cake, and then you're going to bring it. And if you got a 50 guests or you got 100 guests, it's going to cost you $1,000 to cut the cake and put it on a plate. It could be a paper plate. I don't care what it is. It's insanity. And they'll charge that fee if you don't buy it through them. And I've even heard restaurants do that now, where people have brought birthday cakes to restaurants. Pretty common. I used to do that growing up. And they would charge you $4 to $10 and add it to the bill if they cut the cake in the back for them. Like, hello, don't cut it then. Bring it to me. I'll bring my own plates. Like, what the heck?
It's time that I share my reasons on why I wish I would have eloped instead of having a wedding.
My first reason: they are so expensive. After the fact, you realize just how fast the day went by, and it's just over, and all of that money is gone. I wish we would have taken that money, went on a nice vacation, and invested it.
Now, I go back and forth with my girlfriend on it, but we've slowly gotten onto the same page here. But that's kind of how I feel. And I've heard a lot of people regret the amount of money that they've spent, especially if they took out debt, which seems very common. People are going into $40,000, $50,000 in debt to throw a party for other people to get drunk and to party on, which is crazy. It's crazy to me, but there's no right and wrong way. Like, don't feel like I'm attacking people that are into having a big party. There's no right and wrong way to have a wedding. If that's what you're into, having a wedding, by all means, and having a big party, have at it. If it doesn't cost you anything or it's a drop in the bucket, by all means, have it. Some people are into going to parties and some people aren't. So who am I to judge? But for me, it just seems crazy when you break it down. Like, yeah, it's only going to last like 8 hours a day, a couple hours, and then you'll never see that money again. And, it's money in my 20s, and that money in 10, 15, 20 years from now, if I invested it, would be worth hundreds. If I spent $50K on a wedding, gone like this. Put $50K into the stock market, 10, 15 years from now, it's like $130,000. It's insane, if not more. So it's very hard. It's a big pill to swallow to have to spend $50,000. And I sure as heck would not choose to go into debt to do it, which makes it even harder. You don't get anything back aside from memories, which I agree. I get it. I'm just coming at it from a marketing business brain. Part of me also thinks like if it's my vacation and it's supposed to be about like me and my fiance, then I think I should be a little selfish and spend it on myself instead of everyone else. Maybe go on a fancy trip. That could fund a really large, amazing trip all the way into a different country. And it'd probably be a heck of a lot cheaper than spending it on a wedding.
I love a big wedding. I don't mind people spending money on a wedding if they got the money. People will justify anything for one day.
And had a big wedding, always say if they could go back, they would just elope.
So fun fact, couples who spend more than $20,000 on their wedding are 46% more likely to get divorced. And if you spend more than $10,000, it's somewhere in the ballpark of like 30%. The goal is to stay under 10,000, optimally 5.
And I'm sure that's going to like piss off a lot of people. Like, how the heck are you going to be able to spend under $10,000 on a wedding? And yeah, it probably is pretty hard, but that's pretty much just throwing like a backyard shindig or something in your like town park. That's how I could think of spending less than 10K, because I think just poking at the idea of a wedding, calling a venue, getting food, having a DJ, I think just between a DJ, photography, and like food, you'd be well over $10,000 with like 50 people. So there's obviously ways to spend less than 10K on a wedding, but most people end up going overboard. And like Dave Ramsey said, people will justify anything to spend tons of money on a wedding. And honestly, like I said, if it's a drop in the bucket or you're not paying for it and you like having parties, by all means, have at it. But it's definitely a hard pill to swallow, at least for me, to want to spend $50,000, lose it in a day. I understand memories. I get it. But $50,000 for memories is just tough when I know there's alternative ways to make amazing memories that don't cost, a massive chunk of change here. But people will go into debt, and I know it, and I have a lot of stories about a lot of people that I know that have taken out tons of debt, regret it, and they might not even admit it, but they definitely regret it, going into debt for their wedding. And I could just see it. I could just kind of see it on their faces. They don't even have to tell me, hey, how you been? And they're just like, good. I had to work overtime, 70 hours this week to pay my bills at the end of the month. Granted, they threw a $60,000 wedding, and they were having a ton of fun then, and then they're miserable the rest of their lives because they can't afford it. So lots of things to talk about and discuss.
How much do you think a guy should spend on an engagement ring?
Does anyone think that the answer to this question is going to be even remotely reasonable?
10 times their salary.
10 times their salary? Let's put that in some realistic numbers. If a guy makes $50,000 a year, they're wanting that guy to spend $500,000. Yes, $500,000 on an engagement ring.
Yeah, has to be in like the 6 digits for sure.
Oh, boy.
How much do you think a guy should spend on an engagement ring?
I'd say at least like $100K.
Yeah.
$100,000. Now, this is just my opinion, but if someone is going to spend $100,000 to show that they are really committed to that relationship, I think a better way to show that would be to put that money down on a house, not some little piece of jewelry. But that's just my practicality talking.
Like, invest in your future together, in your family together. This has been an ongoing discussion, and I really want to hear it from you because I have heard some very out there answers to this question here, but there's a lot to unpack. I'm also curious if you guys have bought an engagement ring. What did it cost? And like, what is an appropriate amount? What do you guys think it is? Comment it before I tell you why. And some of you guys might actually be pretty surprised at the answer to this, of how the cost of an engagement ring or what it's supposed to cost came up with it. But to spend $100,000 on it, what you guys got to understand is the markup on jewelry is through the roof. It is probably one of the most inflated industries that there is. Engagement rings, gold jewelry, diamond jewelry, even if it's not for weddings or anything like that or getting married, it's about a 400 to 600% markup on most jewelries, especially if you buy it from name brand companies. You know, Every Kiss Begins with K, or like Zales or places like that in the mall. They mark that stuff up through the roof. I'll give you an example. I bought a necklace. I went to a place called Tri-County Flea Market. It's basically like the gold diamond district, all in this little hub on Long Island here. If you went to in New York City, where it's all about jewelry, and they compare, and they basically have the most competitive rates with each other because you can just go down the street and get a different rate. So it's very competitive. I wanted to buy a necklace. I went to the same necklace, basically for 14 karat gold and like 46 grams. Don't quote me on it. Somewhere around that, like 40 grams of 14 karat gold, Figaro style, let's say. I went to two name brand places. They wanted $3,500 for that necklace. I go to the trading district. They wanted $1,900. What is the true cost? The scrap value of that necklace was about $1,400. So it was like a $500 or $600 markup because it costs money to make the jewelry. I get it, to design it, to create it, even if it's made in a factory in like India or wherever. It still costs money to get the design, but we're talking about a $600 markup on something and a 250 to 300% markup, charging $3,500 to $3,800 at the name brand place. Not to mention, the second you wear it, it loses its value because it gets all dinged up and stuff, and you'll never get the price that you paid, even if you walk right back in. So consider this when it comes to buying jewelry. It's just straight back down. If you want to buy gold, as tons of you guys have commented, you want to buy it either in scrap form or, gold bars or gold coins, and pay as close to scrap value or below as possible. Very difficult to get below, though.
So how much do you think should be spent on an engagement ring?
Well, I was told when I was in that process that it should be 1 month's salary.
You see, I have this debate with my wife, and we've been married, 20 years now?
Yeah.
She says it should be 3 months' salary.
Yep.
I said, I'm sure I remembered it was 1 month.
How much do you think should be spent on an engagement ring?
£6,000.
How much do you think should be spent?
I think the norm is a month's salary, isn't it? So it depends on how much you earn.
Yeah.
So if you earn 10 grand a month, it's 10 grand.
Say triple whatever you're taking home a month.
Nice. Yeah. How much do you think should be spent on an engagement ring?
I do not care about the price at all. It's more like the gift of it. So yeah.
You just heard what the public thinks. On average in the UK, between £1,800 and £2,500 is spent on an engagement ring. We want to know, how much do you think should be spent?
It's probably close to like $2,800, $3,000 in the US. If you convert euros, I think euros is worth more than the US dollar. That one girl had a great answer. It's not about the price, it's the gift, the meaning behind it. I love that answer. That's a great answer. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, when you start talking about the price of things, it can cause a lot of problems, for sure, if you start going off of numbers here. But here's the crazy thing. I love that video so much because it almost shows you each generation. I'm gonna tell you something. What I've noticed, and maybe you guys did too, the much older generation, the 60-year-olds maybe in that video, or the older generation in that video, were referencing having, it was a 1 month salary. And then the kind of 40-year-olds were referencing a 3 month salary. And then the super young people were offering just random numbers. They had no idea. 6 grand, 10 grand, 8 grand. And also those girls in the last video, I don't think they have the slightest clue the value of money. To be saying $100,000, I don't think, I really want to believe that they have not a clue how money works, or not a clue the value of money. They don't understand it. They've never bought anything. Because to be asking for a $500,000 ring or $100,000 ring, and your husband is not a billionaire or a multi-millionaire, it makes zero sense. Nobody's going to spend $100,000. It's going to take 9 years to save up for. Now, here's the thing that some of you guys might find surprising. Many years ago, back in the day, the way that came around, it was a campaign that was launched in the diamond industry, like all the diamond industry, the diamond district, something like that. They launched a campaign to basically say your love should be worth and proven by 1 month's salary, the groom or the fiance. That's what they should spend on a wedding ring, on an engagement ring. And it was a way to boost sales. It was a way to get people to spend more on rings. And it was a way to increase profits. And what's funny, because it was always like that, 1 month. And that's why that you see the 60-year-olds talking about that. But then the 40-year-olds were saying, oh, it's like 3 months. Why? Because eventually they realized, inflation and the price of everything kept going up, that's not going to work. We can't keep pushing the whole 1 month salary thing because, we are trying to get our profits up and we can't keep that alive. You know how like stores like Five Below, it's now they're Five Above, and the dollar store is now $1.25 store? Well, the diamond industry did the same thing, and they changed it. I don't remember when, maybe the late 80s, 90s, something like that. They changed it to 3 months salary. And what's funny is now the younger generation, my generation, has not a clue. I don't see any ads for the price. They don't advertise it online. Maybe they advertise buying rings and stuff, but not so much what you should be spending on a ring. So that was an ad campaign and really good marketing to convince a lot of people to buy a ring. And honestly, I don't think it matters what you spend on a ring. I think money can be spent a lot better in other places, especially when there's a 400% markup on an engagement ring. It's insane. And tips for those that are looking, if you buy online and you shop online, you can actually get rates much closer to market rates because they don't have to pay brick and mortar. And typically all those people in New York City, they list all their diamonds online, loose diamonds. And then you have websites that take those diamonds and they put them all on a browser, kind of like Facebook Marketplace or something, but for only diamonds. And you can sift through it, pick the diamond that you want, and then that website offers different types of bands for you to choose. You can pick your band, and they will then purchase that diamond from that seller, that reseller in New York City or wherever at market value, and put that diamond and make your custom ring and put it together for you. So they don't have to charge brick and mortar. They don't have to store and house the diamonds. They don't have to pay the insurance. And it is significantly cheaper than just walking into a mom and pop store or buying it, let's say, at Zales or Kay Jewelers, something like that. Something to think about.
So this comment says, don't spend into the big Long Island wedding. It's ridiculous what it costs. Spend it on a honeymoon and a house. And I see so many things where people are like, I regret spending all this money on a wedding. I should have spent it on anything else. But like, I want to have a huge, fun, big party and throw it for everyone I love. So I'm gonna do it. Maybe I'll regret it too. But I can't imagine not having my huge wedding. Like, I want that. So I'm not gonna listen. But I might listen to the part about Long Island because we're thinking about upstate New York, like somewhere pretty in the mountains in the fall with the fall foliage, and hiking is kind of our vibe. So maybe we'd go hiking the day before, do a little weekend thing. I don't know. We still don't have a venue.
So here's the thing. She is going to have a rude awakening when she starts looking into the prices, just like I did, because you're allowed to daydream. It's something, girls and people daydream about since they were a child. But, you don't realize the cost of it until you start doing the research, and people just get a reality check. Like, oh, that great party in the ballroom and the dress and the golden slipper is like going to cost me $120,000, and that is insane. But if you have your parents pay for it, or grandparents, or you have the money, like I said, and it's a drop in the bucket, then by all means, have at it, have the party. But for most people, it's just not feasible. It's not possible. And on top of that, she's from Long Island. And I have firsthand experience in that because I grew up on Long Island and I spent the last 24 years of my life living on Long Island up until I recently moved. And guess what? The problem with Long Island is everyone needs to keep up with the Kardashians and the Joneses and your neighbors, and it is so annoying. I'll be the first one to tell you that. It has been all my life. I have been to weddings when I was extremely young. I've been to bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs at 13 with all my friends. I've probably been to a dozen, like 10 or 12. Then it was sweet 16s and quinceañeras at 16 years old, so just 3 years later. And now it's becoming weddings. And I will be the first one to tell you, these are the most elaborate, crazy, spectacular, insane. It's like you're going to Circus du Soleil. It's crazy what money can do and what people spend money on. We're talking upwards of like $80,000 to $100,000 back in we're talking 2010. So I can only imagine what it is now. Fox Hollow, Crest Hollow. I don't know if you've ever heard of these places, but you can spend a lot of money. I mean, we had, candy booths and chocolate water fountains and acrobats. I mean, it was crazy. It's insane. And the problem is now people are getting married and everybody has to one up and outdo the other person. Every single time. If you got invited to one, you had to do better and then invite them back. And it was always like that. And now that we're seeing weddings, I have friends that are doing it and they have to keep up with that social status, that, social pressure that everybody has. And they'll go into debt. I know people that have taken out $40,000 to $50,000 loans on debt. I know people that have taken $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 loans to buy engagement rings. And, it's a great way to start off a marriage, I'll tell you, to be $65,000, $85,000 in debt. As they've said before, the number one reason for divorce is financial problems. And I'll tell you, starting off a relationship, a marriage with 80 grand in the hole, it's great. It's really great.
My mom asked me what my budget was for my wedding, and I said, sister, I don't know. I just thought you were going to pay for it. I thought this wasn't my responsibility. I'm the girl. You're the bride's parents. Give me a way.
I just finished therapy and I'm never fucking vulnerable on this app, but I'm just going to make this video in hopes that it makes other people feel better. Tell me why. Tell me why. When you get engaged and you plan a wedding, everyone assumes that it is your parents paying for the wedding. The wedding planner starts, well, what's the budget that your family has in mind? Your friends, well, my family gave this and then we gave this. It's so frustrating. And it led to me kind of like getting in a tiff with my family. For what? For why? Because I was just like, oh, are you going to pay for my wedding? And they're like, bitch, my mom's from the south side of Chicago. They had weddings in their backyard. They cooked all their own food. A ballroom, an officiant, a 12-piece band. Think again. So anyways, if you're going through this too, where like you're paying for your own wedding, you're not alone. Please don't fight with your family over this shit. It's not worth it.
It's crazy too, because honestly, I like I said, I've only recently started to look into this, and I had no idea that your parents were supposed to pay for it. Like, there's so much tradition in a world that we've outgrown it apparently, or changed, but we're still holding on to certain traditions, which is interesting to me. Nothing against it here. Like, we're picking and choosing, but I had no intention or plans of asking my parents or my girlfriend asking her parents for it. I didn't think it was their responsibility. It's a party that I wanted to throw, so it should be on me. But I'm now learning that, no, that's not how it is. Your parents are supposed to be paying for it and asking, and that's crazy. So again, let me know in the comments, did your parents pay for it? Are they supposed to chip in? Should they chip in if they have the money for it? And I got another crazy video in here that you're going to see, which it goes back and forth, that I have a hard time watching, but let me know who's supposed to be paying for it.
Bride and groom, you're engaged. Now, who pays for what? And this is not set in stone. It's just what's customary. The bride's family pays for the venue, the food, the wedding cake, the transportation on the day of the wedding if needed, florals for the wedding and the reception, a videographer, a photographer, and lodging for the bridesmaids if needed. Now, the groom's family pays for the rehearsal dinner, the alcohol for the reception, the officiant, the bride's bouquet, boutonnieres for the men, and the reception music. Now, remember, none of this is set in stone. It's all about good communication. Happy wedding planning.
I can just see that being so stressful. Like, this is this tradition. I mean, I would think I don't know. Different religions have different things. I've been to so many Indian weddings, especially when I worked at the car rental company. I've dropped off a lot of Lamborghinis and Ferraris being red and white Rolls Royces to Indian weddings, and it is huge. So I'm not attacking anyone. I think they're great. And I also know that Indian weddings, the entire branch of family chips in, like everyone. It's not just your parents. It's like everyone. But to expect that from parents, everybody's struggling out here. I wouldn't expect my parents to be paying for it. It's a lot of money. That just sounds like a headache. Like we're not in the medieval times, I think, anymore to expect tradition to still be like that. That's just my thought on it. Like, I wouldn't expect my parents to have to pay for this specific thing, and we have to do it exactly this way. Like, I mean, it's 2024. Come on. Like, I think things are different now. There's a lot of things have changed when it comes to women's rights and men's rights and who can vote and who can work, and all that stuff has changed, except marriage. We're still holding on to traditions that were from, early 1900s. That's how I view it.
This is crazy. Today is my daughter's second wedding anniversary, and I cannot wait for her 18th wedding anniversary. Why? That's insane, right? Well, because that's when I will have the credit card finally paid off that I used to put on her beautiful wedding. I am an idiot. So we didn't have money, of course, for the wedding. Who does? And so I said, listen, I'm just going to put everything on my credit card and we will figure it out. We did everything ourselves. We rented a tent, put it in my parents' pasture. I did all the florals myself. I mean, we bargain hunted for everything. We really did. It was a beautiful wedding, but we did it as frugally as possible. And now, at the rate that I am currently paying on my credit card, I pay $350 a month, which to me is every extra penny I have. It will take me another 16 years to get that credit card paid off. That is nuts. That's if I continue at the same rate. So if I get TikTok famous and this video blows up, then maybe that would help take it down a notch. That would be all right with me. People helping people. I love that. I know that's happened a lot on this app. I'm not going to say I'm deserving because I have a hole in the roof of my house or anything. No, I'm just a dumb mom that didn't know any better, and now I'm in a bad situation. But it was the most beautiful day ever. And would I do it again? Probably.
All I got to say is if it ever got to the point where I found out my mom was going on TikTok to beg people to help pay off her debt that was created from my wedding that I caused for her, the amount of guilt that I would feel, that's insane. To have my mom on social media begging people to help pay off her debt, let alone on a credit card, probably one of the worst ways to take a loan out on something. Unreal. However, the way she went around it, I think is a great thing. And if I was to ever have a party for it, that's how I would probably do it. It would be a lot cheaper. I would probably want to have a house first. And then I could throw the party in my backyard and be in control of it. And that, I think, would be much easier and cheaper and make the most financial sense. And I think it would be plenty fun and tons of memories, and I think that would be great. But
please just be honest for 1 minute. Who is paying for y'all's weddings? Is it your parents? Are you dipping into your life savings? Are we going into debt? What is going on? Because my fiance and I, we've been engaged for almost a year, and we do pretty well for ourselves. We're fine. We just bought a house. We're good. We're chilling. I'm tired of feeling like a broke bitch. Every time I get a quote back from a venue that wants $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 baseline just for the venue, food, and drink for 50-ish people, and you still don't have flowers, you don't have decor, you don't have DJ, you don't have photos, you don't have a dress, you don't have travel to get there. It's at a minimum, it's gonna cost $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a 50-person wedding. And I don't know who's affording this. And it's not just me, because it's 4 of us total in my friend group that are engaged right now. 3 other girlfriends of mine, everyone says the same exact thing. Everyone requests a quote, they panic, and then they just close their laptop and they stop wedding planning for 2 more months because they're like, what the fuck is going on? Who's paying for this? And again, we're all in our late 20s, if not early 30s, and every single one of us feels this way. And no one has picked a date, picked a venue, or started actually planning their wedding because they're appalled by the cost of everything. And it's not even about the money also, because if you have it, great, but we also can't really stomach the fact that you're about to drop 50 grand on one day when you could buy a house, or you could buy another house, or an investment property, or literally do anything else with that money. And I get it. It's your wedding and it's supposed to be special and it's supposed to be hopefully only once and it's supposed to be the best day of your life. But like, why does it cost 50 grand? Why can't it be the best day of my life for like 10 grand? Like, I'm willing to part with that amount of money, maybe even 20 for a great party. But 50 as a baseline with like base level food and not even like a premium open bar. Like, what?
So yeah, please let me know who is paying for this, because if it's your parents, that makes me feel a little bit better. But if you're paying for it yourself, please let me know how you're doing it, because I don't know. I just think we need to be transparent about it, because you get these quotes back and it's just like not like anything you've ever expected or experienced before. And it's just like kind of shocking. And we're all going through it. So please let me know.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think just the whole fact that it's about a wedding has become such a marked up, inflated industry where people are trying to charge the most that they can and just take advantage of you at like a vulnerable time. But it's insane. And the problem is people are willing to do it and they're willing to go into debt on it. Like the whole concept, it's like it's an older tradition and we're still hanging on to it here, and they know that, so they're marking the price up as much as they can. Yeah, why can't it cost $10K? Why can't it cost $5K? But no, it's got to cost $100,000. Who in their mid to late 20s has $100,000 to spend on it? The problem is people do, and they'll go into tremendous amounts of debt for it, and all it's going to do is either hinder your growth in your family and relationship as you move on, or B, it's going to cause a lot of problems in your relationship with money and finance investing, or just stress you out, because who wants to be carrying $100,000 of debt, even if it is the best night of your life? It's something to discuss and think about and to go over. I really want to hear your opinions on it and what you think, because, you know, I'm at that time too where I have to decide it. And I think I know the route-ish that we're going to take, but it still is insane. If you guys like this video, let me know down in the comments below. Smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe. And if you haven't already, make sure to check out my hyper consumerism video, because if you thought wedding debt was insane, watch what other people spend their money on.